morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Super Tees video. And World of Warcraft is not going to be the same. There has been ongoing talking points and interviews from Blizzard Entertainment in regards to the moves that they're going to be making with regards to removing add-ons and their motives for removing those add-ons. But I've seen a comprehensive list now basically compiled by Nagi, one of the top-rated PvE players in World of Warcraft, listing, basically all of the core add-ons that they would utilize and which add-ons are going to be the most impacted and basically completely nullified and made totally useless. And I wanted to go over that list and the potential implications of their removal and what does it really mean for the game. And if you want to make sure that you're up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, the first two add-ons right off the top here on the left, Deadly Boss Mods. This is a major game-breaking add-on, right? This is the add-on that every raid group tells you to download the first second that you log in. And if you say, no, I don't really want to, that's a G kick. That's a group kick. You're out of there. I would say that this is like the #1 add-on that even in classic expansions, and I could see Showbeck commenting on this as a main classic player saying that he wants this brought to classic. In TBC, I was like, I don't need to download Deadly Boss Mods. I can do these TBC bosses without it. My guild was like, no, you have to download this. We're gonna make you download this add-on or you're not gonna be able to do the raid. And I was like, okay, man, I guess I'm gonna do it. So I understand fully from that point of view and perspective as a player like that. When you're in that boat and you're getting pressure to do it, it's like, I really just don't want to. I wish that the boss fight was just designed in a way that I could see the mechanics without needing the add-on to interact it. And just yesterday, I was actually playing Doom Dark Ages. This is the first game that I've played in I don't even know how many years that isn't World of Warcraft. And it made me realize how good a game can be with just a good, understandable core UI. Like, green abilities can be parried and reflected back at their attackers. Red abilities can't. It's just like very obvious, color-coded, and you can see and interact with those exchanges in real time. Whereas in World of Warcraft, it's slushy unicorn vomit all over the screen, and I don't know if that's dangerous or is going to give me more damage. It's kind of confusing, right? Although I will say in this recent patch, with the improvements that they made to the swirlies on the ground with clear defining lines, that's a great improvement. That was very similar to what I've experienced with Doom Dark Ages as well. So if we can do that with class abilities as well, making class abilities more readable, more understandable as a baseline, it's going to be way better for the game, because I get so annoyed when people are like, no, you have to download add-on, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, dude. So Deadly Boss Mods, they're not going to be able to do that anymore to us. They're not going to be able to make us download that add-on anymore. It's gone. It's done. Deadly Boss Mods will not be able to operate anymore with these constraints. The next one is Details, and they did talk about this. They're going to be putting their own in-game damage meter. I'm curious to see how this one plays out, because Details can oftentimes be very inaccurate, especially in PvP situations when pets are involved. Is it not going to track pet damage? How is it going to be able to account for funnel damage? These types of things, right? I'm a bit concerned with it. Also, what does that mean for, parsing? Is the in-game damage meter our Raider IO? Is it going to be able to extrapolate that data and be able to upload it onto leaderboards? Because that's a big deal for PvEers, is being able to see their raid parses, right? Their legendary parses, and see that damage recording and progress over time that they're making in the current raid. If they can't see that, I think that's going to be really bad for the game. Now, I think it's great. Damage meter in game, don't have to download it, don't have to go to a third-party website. That's great. But can Raider IO or external websites be able to grapple that information out and utilize it to, prop up the existing infrastructure that they have and what players expect from raiding and PvE? I think that's the biggest concern I see, at least with this one, from a PvE standpoint. From a PvP standpoint is accuracy, especially because of pets, no pets. Is it just going to work like the end game scoreboard in PvP? Is that just the only damage that's going to be recorded is that, and they're going to ignore pet damage in PvE situations? I kind of feel like the PvP components of this are going to be kind of like an afterthought until it becomes maybe an issue, because that just seems to be how things are rolling at the moment. The next add-on that is no longer going to be usable is Little Wigs. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming this is a PvE add-on. PvEers in the comments down below, let me know what this is, if it's a big deal or not. To me, it does not affect me at all, because I don't even know what it is. Plater nameplates. Okay, so customizable nameplates. This is an important one because I was actually considering updating my nameplates back to my old ones that I had in Cataclysm. I can't remember what they are. They're the same ones that Bajiri used, and they're really cool. I like how highlighted they are. They look sick. They have said that they're going to be updating their in-game player nameplates, so hopefully they're going to look cool and they're going to provide adequate information, because it looks like you're not going to be able to edit it anymore on this. So if you're a nameplate enjoyer, you're out of luck. Next one is bigwigs. So little brother, big brother, both of those are not going to be working. I'm not a PvE player. I have no idea what those do. Let me know in the comments down below if that's a big deal to you. At least in PvP, I really don't think that it's going to be. Hakili, which is the add-on that they've already been discussing, which is now going into the next patch, which is going to be the rotation assistant, which is going to be highlighting abilities that you should maybe ideally consider using to be able to learn to play your class. I think this is actually a great addition to the game, because what it does is lets you log in and I can be like, okay, what's my damage rotation? I don't have to go to a third-party website and read through a giant, text file of guides of what my rotation is. It's just going to light the buttons up for me. You might think, oh, well, that's just going to play the game for you. The thing is when you go into PvP or you even go into PvE, it doesn't really matter, and you're tunnel visioning your action bar and all of your spells to see which one is lighting up next, and you don't see the mechanic and you die, you can't see the game. Because I tried using Hakili to help me out with Feral Druid, because I just struggle when I play Feral Druid because the rotation is so complicated. And I just was tunnel visioning the Hakili, and I lost my target. It ran out of range. I didn't even know where it was. So I think this is nice to be in the game for players to practice on training dummies and just have something in the game that shows them what is the ideal rotation. Now, obviously, concerns with this are, is it going to be actively updated, given that they do frequent class tuning and talent adjustments, and will it be able to constantly adjust depending on what talents you have? That's something that I do have concerns for it into the long term, but I think it's a great addition to the game, assuming that they can maintain it. The next big one, I mean, this is the big one in the room, right? The elephant in the room is the weak Orus. That's no longer working. This is a big pop-up on your screen with the big foghorns that's coming through that tells you how to play the game, and you're not even looking at the game. You're just looking at giant boxes in the middle of the screen and weird sound effects. This game has distorted World of Warcraft so massively, it's absolutely unbelievable. If people want to defend this add-on because Blizzard's designing around its existence, sure. But if it doesn't exist anymore, they don't need to design around it. Then come on, man, because this add-on is just absolutely destroying the essence of what World of Warcraft is. It doesn't matter if it's PvP either. I remember seeing clips of Sidu pop up where he was like, "You're in trouble, you're in trouble," and then he's like, "Are you sure?" "I don't know, man. My weak aura just popped up and said you were," and I was like, "Oh my god, man! We're not even playing the same game anymore." So weak auras has gotta go. That one's got to get purged, and it is. It's going to be getting purged. These combat enhancing add-ons are bye bye, and I'm very happy to see that, because yeah, weak auras completely distorts what the game actually is. Deadly boss mods for dungeons also not going to work, and we covered that. I'm not even sure what this says. Method raid tests. So. And GTFO, so more add-ons that just give you alert pop-ups that you need to move your feet or standing in something, as opposed to seeing the thing that you're standing in and moving out. Now, obviously, if the thing you're standing in isn't visually obvious, then that needs to be improved so that you don't need the add-on, so it can be understandable. Season of Discovery Deadly Boss Mods also not going to work. And Vanilla, I thought they said they weren't touching Classic, so I wonder if that's not 100% on the money there. Threat Plates is no longer going to be working. Again, I don't know if that's the same as Plater, if that just sort of shows aggro. Managing your threat. Managing your threat is kind of an invisible thing. I don't even know how important managing your threat is anymore in retail. I haven't done a lot of PvE. I know back in the day it was, wait for Sunder stacks and go like that, but I didn't know it was really that big of a deal. Healbot is also going to be removed, and I can't even read this name. Voodoo? I think it's Voodoo. So Healbot and Voodoo, aren't these the ones where you're hovering over with mouse overs or something like that? Or maybe it shows incoming health, so some sort of automated healing process. I'm pretty sure with these add-ons. I think I used them a really long time ago, and it's been such a long time that I can't even remember exactly how important that or vital that is. Obviously, if you use those add-ons, it's going to be pretty important, I think, and you're going to have to play the game in a completely different manner. But maybe that is for the better in the long run, because maybe we have just let the game be distorted way too far, and we kind of just accepted it as this thing where you just have to go third-party software and download a completely different version of the game, and play it in this way to be as efficient as possible, whereas just the baseline could be updated massively, right? So bigwigs for Classic also across the board. Bigwigs taking the biggest hit. Deadly boss mods, DBM for PvP as well. I didn't even know there was PvP up there. I wonder where Gladiator Losa is, because that's another one. Like, are they going to remove add-ons that are audio based as well? Because Weak Auras is visual, you can make it audio, but there are add-ons that are strictly audio, because I don't see that on here. And then big debuffs, which is honestly a big loss for me. This is like maybe the biggest loss of all of them, because the baseline UI does not show you well, you know, polymorphs and crowd control and snares and roots to be able to dispel off your damage dealers and get them more active in the game. And this add-on enables those to be larger. That would be nice if that was just a baseline setting. Again, this is one of those cases where I think like an add-on could actually just be made baseline into the game. And they have done that in the past, right? In previous expansions, you couldn't even see what crowd control you were in the middle of your screen. You had to download an add-on called Lose Control. Now Lose Control is baseline in the game, and you can see your crowd control in the middle of your character whenever you're hit by it, which has been a great improvement. So like big debuffs, I mean, they should just work on pruning basically buffs and debuffs in the game so that there's not 400 of them in passive modifiers. And maybe that is something they're going to look to do in the future, because I think they should. It's really confusing. There's just, you know, they always talk about ability bloat, where they've put too many spells into the game, and now that's becoming a problem. But what about passives? What about, why is there like 30 different plus 5% to Mortal Strike on 10 different talents? Like, I feel like that's also bloated. You got to consider now the tuning of combinations of all those selections that you've made for the player now, and the player needs to know that stacking all those together is actually the most ideal thing to do, and then maybe it creates degenerate gameplay. So I think bringing down the number of buffs and debuffs, or finding ways to consolidate them in a more understandable manner, would definitely assist with that. But you can tell that this is a very serious update when you see a list like this and which add-ons are going to be affected, that this is going to be a seriously gameplay altering experience when they actually run through this and do this and, you know, pull all these add-ons out, which is something that's likely going to be happening much more into the future. But we need to keep our eyes on it. We need to keep talking about it, because this could make or break the game moving into the future. But that's it for this one here in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion and update. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.